That's how you know somebody doesn't respect. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters. They laugh at your values, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. Cancel last minute. Forget the things you because they're in their world. Because they're in their world. Your energy, even your priority, aren't just an option. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly. To be disrespected deeply. Sometimes it's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence, you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it. The flow is so insane, my spot, shoot my shot, perfect flame. I don't sleep today. So slang. When they see it's the main. Chasing flame. We don't stick, I came. Kick my fist and bust some rain. I'm so not the same. Paid the cost and kept the change. Now I'm walking all the fire and I reside in the cloud. Writing wishes, with pictures, taking pictures with the crowd and I'm out.
Yo. What up? Peace and blessings. Glory, praise, and honors from the Most High. Happy Monday, good people. Shout outs to my poets, writers, my artists, my choreographers, painters, all of y'all, man, all across the spectrum. Much love. Hope this Monday has started off extremely well for you. I thank you for being here. I thank you for all your support, feedback, commentary, all that. You see the title. I got Rob in the studio. I got a clip I want to play for y'all here in a second. And we're gonna chop it up. Rob, what up?
Hey.
What's the word?
Happy Monday.
Likewise, man. What's the word?
Man, back at it.
Right on.
Jewel shining. I see you, Jewel shining. That's a very nice necklace. 2 of them, sir.
Shout out to Goku, my DBZ compadre.
Okay. I need a Vegeta chain.
I actually had one. You know what's messed up? It failed. It snapped when I was trying to take it off, and it fell in the sink.
What?
Yeah, it fell in the sink, and maybe I gotta unscrew it to get back to it, but I don't know. I think that's gone.
Hey, yeah.
They grow up so fast, don't they? Said good evening.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Good. Look, how's everybody? How's the fam? How was the trip?
It was really good. We went to San Francisco to see my husband's sister and her partner, and then we went with my husband's brother, which he just moved out here from Texas. So it was pretty cool having almost all the siblings together. They have an additional brother in Sacramento and another one in Texas, but we rarely get to see his sister, so that was pretty cool being able to hang out with them. And the kids loved it because they got to get toys because we went to Japantown. And my son is super into Sonic right now, and so he's able to get some Sonic themed stuff, so he's pretty happy. And then my daughter got cat themed stuff, so she's pretty happy.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, look, we're gonna jump into it. I got a clip I want to play for y'all. It's not the extended version, but it'll give y'all some context for those who are just now tuning in, and for the folks that's gonna watch on the replay. I'll bring it up on the big screen, and let's get it.
Okay, just watch this. It's day 43 of Mitch McConnell missing in action at a DC hospital, status unknown, not representing Kentucky, and not voting. This is despicable and absolutely outrageous. What job lets you tell your manager you're hospitalized, send a picture weeks later, and keep your position? None. But in the Senate, aging politicians do anything to cling to power. His staff claims he's working on defense appropriations, foreign policy, the Farm Bill, and constituent services while improving in rehab. Really? After 5+ weeks? No 30-second video, just questionable photos, everyone questions? We've watched his freezes and falls for over a year. Senator Shelley Moore Capito claims someone visited him yesterday and found him clear-minded, yet she won't visit until he asks. Governor Andy Beshear has until August 8 to call a special election and still get silence. No colleagues seen entering GW Hospital. Not moved to Walter Reed. We're an elder... Okay, just watch this.
Initial thoughts. I mean, you actually presented this to me. I wasn't aware of it at all. So I'm really curious to what brought you to this.
I first saw this when he initially entered the hospital. It's a pretty big deal for him because I'm pretty sure he's like Secretary of State or something. Like he has a slightly higher role than just like a congressman or senator. I forgot which one he was. But so he disappeared almost 2 months ago, I think. And it's really weird because first of all, they haven't provided any evidence that he's alive except for a single picture of his wife, him with his wife, which some people think is actually photoshopped, and they used an older photo to make it seem like it was a more recent picture. And then also we've had numerous politicians say that, oh, I've had conversations with him. He's lucid. He's fine. There's actually a huge joke on social media because at least 2 people said I had a 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell. And so, as I said, there's a joke going around like when I had my 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell, and they show like horror movie scenes and stuff like that. So it's definitely been noticed by the internet. And at this point, a lot of people are demanding to have proof of life, which they haven't been providing, because he at this point, even if he is alive, he shouldn't have this position because he's clearly incapable of doing what needs to be done for his particular role. Not to mention the fact that he's super old already, which is going to affect his ability to do his job. And they've even had moments before where he would just like completely blank out. They'd ask him questions and he'd just be like staring off into space or be confused or didn't know what question they asked. So even if he wasn't in the hospital, he'd still be unfit for service. So I think regardless, they need to have a election to replace him. But I'm more than certain that the reason that they have not made any moves to replace him yet is because they want to ensure that they can maintain that seat as red-leaning as opposed to Democratic. So I think that I honestly can't say one or the other if he's alive or not, but I suspect, given his age, given his condition, he's probably incapacitated. One of the facts I've heard before is if you have an older person, like above 80, and they spend more than a month in the hospital, chances are they're not walking out. So I have that in my mind too, where I'm like, he's old enough that even if he's there for a prolonged period of time, other things can happen. The more time you spend in a hospital, you have increased risk of infection, increased risk of sepsis, increased risk of bed sores that can lead to infections. There's all sorts of things that happen when you're in hospitals for longer periods of time. So he, regardless of whether he's alive or not, he's not fit for this job anymore. And I'll end with that for now.
Sid, you ready today? Go Sid, team Sid. The first thing I think of is how many of those guys people actually listen to is and it's no diss to them. You know, if you old and you confident and you still effective, that's dope. You know what I mean? Ideally, you will be making good decisions. But I mean, from my idea, I really haven't seen anything that he's done that benefit the people years before this. And then to see him, you know, like, I don't know if he had the silent seizures on stage when he was like virtually unconscious, and now at the end of the day, it's time to go home. You know what I'm saying? You know, it ain't really nothing left to say. It's time to go home. If you become ineffective at your ability to make decisions, especially decisions that affect people's lives, it's time to go home. And again, my thought is, it ain't just him. You know, they hide it. He's not the only one that's pretty much incoherent up there. They're letting it slide, and I don't see how the people keep allowing them to make decisions for us.
Reminds me of two movies. Well, one movie and one Netflix show, Lord of the Rings, and there was a program called Kingdom on Netflix. It was like a zombie type of show. Yeah.
It's a good movie, good TV show.
The guy, the king was supposed to still be alive, but he was actually dead. But they pretended that he was still alive so that they could still maintain that level of influence and control over the people, because they knew that if he was no longer around, the next in line would take over. They didn't want that to happen. So they gave you this false sense of hope by pretending all of his laws and all of his rules were coming directly from him, but he was zombified, or he was infected with this disease. And then it reminded me of Lord of the Rings, same fashion, just slightly different in the sense that they used magic on him to keep him under their spell. I never understood why these old people had them seats in the first place. Well, I do understand it. Rob, I agree. I don't think they listen to them at all. I think most of the reasons why you see them folks in them positions is because of nepotism, and just you're supposed to keep it in the family and friends. Anybody that's directly tied to you, you make sure everybody is in line afterwards. No outside influences, because them outside men and women that you decide to give a shot to, they might go against the grain and want to do something completely different than what you are doing. And we can't have that. So I don't know if he's alive or not. the government has shown me that they will do so many different wicked things. He could be in the hospice. He could no longer be here. Hell, there was a video. I ain't even covered it yet. Uh, the woman found out that her father had died 3 days ago. Nobody told her, but the caretaker took over the house, rearranged, changed everything in the house, said nothing to nobody. So it's like, I wouldn't really put it too far off for them to do something like that. I yield.
Another movie that people have been is Weekend at Bernie's, where they're literally walking around with this corpse trying to pretend that they're real or they're still alive. There's been a lot of like photoshopped images where they show like politicians like propping him up as he's just like in the position of the movie, which I find hilarious. I'm like, that's very apt, a very apt metaphor. And also, I looked it up. He's the Senate minority leader right now, or he just finished, I guess. And then previously, he was the majority leader in the Senate as well. So he basically oversees the meetings and whatever that they're doing. And he's kind of like that leader to make sure everything's on track and whatever. But this whole situation, first of all, how is it that hard to provide proof of life? Like if he is truly alive, why can't they take a picture of him in the hospital or show documentation that shows he's in the hospital, or even a voice recording of him saying like, yeah, I'm alive, I'm fine, stuff like that. I'm like, I don't understand how it's that hard to provide that type of information, especially when it's as important as it is, when he's a person that is a key component of the whole legislative process. So I think it's really bizarre that they aren't able to provide that evidence. Like we heard about Lindsey Graham basically the night he died. But with this, we don't hear anything. And it really is reminiscent of what's happening with a certain leader of this country who has all sort of medical problems that they're not disclosing. I firmly believe that no matter what they say, he is not as healthy as they say. Nobody has 3 annual exams within 2 months of each other. So it really feels like it's a theme in this government where they're using specific people that honestly, they're going after the vulnerable people. They're going after the elderly politicians that are having mental capacity issues. And I really, really think that there's people behind the scenes taking advantage of the ones that aren't able to comprehend the situation as effectively as somebody younger. This also brings up the question of the need to put term limits on all of these people, because I'm fairly certain there are no term limits, or if they are, it's a very long time, because some of these people have been serving for decades. And when you have an older generation that refuses to leave their positions, first of all, you don't give any opportunity to younger politicians to bring a fresh take on everything going on. But then also, they're going to be making decisions that favor the old rich people and not the people. Like, they're not going to have the perspective to understand what the younger generations actually need. They don't even understand the cultural differences around the young people, because obviously we have drastically different views than people that grew up through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. because a lot of us are more open to alternative lifestyles. We are struggling more than they are. And I don't think they understand that, or if they do, they're choosing to ignore it. So we need a way to make sure that these politicians leave their positions before they become inept and unable to do their duties. So I really think that we should have either a term limit where you can only serve a certain amount of years or a certain number of terms, like we have for the president, or an age limit. One, like just like we have 65. If you're that old, you can retire at this point. Like I think they need that. They could also use that where like if you're above 65 or 70 or whatever number they choose, you cannot serve. Like you can volunteer or something, but you can't actually hold the position because at that point your health is compromised and you might have other stuff going on. So I really, really hope that this results in something that encourages more transparency in the government, because we desperately need that right now. I mean, clearly it's been a year or so since we knew about specific files that have still not been released. So he could be dead for a year before we even know about it. So we definitely need to make some changes with this whole situation.
Yeah, Weekend and Bernie's, that was, man, I might have watched that 10 times. Very, very accurate. I think about the soldiers, like, put them guys on the line. You know, all them old heads that's making incompetent decisions, that's not caring about the people like they supposed to. And, you know, we go back. People think this is a democracy. People think Democrats, Republicans, Independents, they all follow the same laws. Same Constitution, Bill of Rights we follow. It's the same thing. So at the end of the day, you can't be too much in disagreement if you continue to follow the same laws that's going on right now. It's birds of the same feather. So in those cases, I don't care how old you are, if you are making bad decisions for the public, then you should have to go. If you're making bad decisions and you're incoherent on a regular basis, I don't think if you got a pamper, walking around with a pamper, if you're coherent, hey, you might have a health problem. That's no problem. But you're that old, you're walking around with a pamper, it's probably time to go home. Thinking from their side, I don't know, I guess the money is attractive. It's like, why would I go home when I could keep doing my thing? But at the same time, ideally in your head, you'd be like, hey, listen, we need to go ahead and get that spot up and let somebody else get a chance. But what happens in our culture, we continue to allow these people to do their thing. Because I don't too much believe in the vote. Especially with the electoral college. And I don't know, I was told years ago that presidents are chosen. Those guys are chosen. Maybe at the local level, I think that the vote may be effective. At the localist, in the small towns maybe, but big stuff like that, you had to be picked because at the end of the day, once you become ineffective, if the people's votes counted, if he would have been out of there, it will only be right. But this for his personal health, like ideally, don't you got family, man? You probably don't you want to spend your last days enjoying your family? Like, but I believe what you said, Deep, to where, hey, we got to keep this spot on lock. Exactly, we got to keep this spot on lock so that we can have it for our people. You know what I mean? But if I get that point to where I can't even barely speak on TV. It's time for me to go out with the grands, hang out with the wife. You know what I'm saying? Hang out with the people to where I ain't worried about that stuff. I might give a little consultation or two, probably from 10 to 11 in the morning or something. You know what I'm saying? When I finally wake up. But at the end of the day, man, it's time to go home, man. Go home. You did the damage is done. You know what I mean? And again, I really, from my perspective, I cannot see too much effective decisions that he made that affected me. And all I see was a downgrade for about the last 10 years. So, you know, but then again, I'm not a person that's into politics because I believe that this country is run by money. And I know for a fact that when the Constitution was written, it was written by rich landowners. Not even gonna put slave owners in there. That's a whole nother ballgame. But rich landowners who divided the country up as a business and designed laws to protect them. And we still have the basis, the foundation of those laws in place. And that's how you can see that the horrible atrocities that continue to keep happening because at the end of the day, it's all smoke and mirrors to where, oh yeah, you can vote on this and if you want this. But at the same time, whoever you get, it's the same culture. So nothing is changes. And I believe even right now, we went 50 years backwards. You might as well just go ahead and segregate the way I feel about it because that's what's happening. And if they're not segregating you by color, language, they're segregating you by money to the point where even now you can't even afford food. So, you know, if he's in there and all of this is happening and you making decisions, well, I can't afford my food, I can't afford my gas, I got to work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet so that you can keep your wealth going and all that, it's definitely time to go.
I just uploaded a video earlier. Reports that the United States are at least $40 trillion in debt. Owing multiple countries. I'm not even going to try to run down the numbers and the statistics that they called for. But I say all that to say we're talking from a place of some people care about us. That's we talking about if we were in their shoes, what we would do. These are folks that just had this plan and said this is how we're going to do it, and it's us against them, and we're just going to make them think that we are all on this giant ball of dirt in some form of camaraderie. It's not that. It was never that. Maybe it started out that way at some point, and then it just turned into something completely different. But them people ain't relating to us at all. And I made a post. I was like, man, if y'all not paying the bills, why should I pay any? Because like, how are you sending our money everywhere else? We owe all of this, but we the ones that still gotta make sure the lights are on. It's this, that, and the third. So if you're not going to take care of the country, why do I need to take care of you? It don't make no sense. But see, that's the plot. These gentlemen, these men, these women, their cousins, their nieces, all of them have had the conversations, I'm sure. When you hit certain such and such, you're going to take this spot. I need you to go to college. I need you to study for this. I'm going to hand you the silver spoon. I'm gonna make sure that you get into the best schools. You're gonna live in the best neighborhoods. We're gonna groom you to be this. We're gonna stay away from all of the toxic food, all of the negative this, that, and the third. We got you. All you got to do is follow our blueprint. This will be you next. And they've been really honoring that for the longest time. I don't see anywhere in the foreseeable future a Rob or a Sydney replacing this man or any of these gentlemen who come from a different era to change the way that we view politics, we view medicine, and any it's not happening. They have a system, their system works. Sydney, you're a threat to the system. Rob, you're a threat to the system. Your idea of change is going to cost them money. Essentially, we can't have that. It's going to put other people in positions to step over that invisible line that they drew, that they say isn't there. And the minute that you bring anybody outside of what they are into the mix, is a problem. It's always going to be a problem. Of course, that's just my 2 cents. I don't know. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but I'm pretty sure they have their people in position to get on the camera and say, "Oh, he's fine." Believe me, because I'm a credible person to follow. Uh, Yada 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 yada. Don't ask me for no receipts. Don't ask me to show you pictures and videos of him dancing or doing the Charleston. He's fine. He's okay. Whole time he could probably have been dead for 2 months. And then you just find out tomorrow or something. But I digress.
I think another thing that's to me problematic is that besides like no proof of life, they're not giving any updates or information whatsoever. Like with certain people, when they get sick, they're like, oh, they had a heart attack and they're undergoing this procedure and blah, blah, blah. But they're not giving away any of that information, which makes me think they have something to hide. And with the way that other things have been going, it really makes me think that this is just a form of fraud. Because, for example, Lindsey Graham just died. I think he's also a senator. And within the week, they instated, I don't know what the word is, but they made his sister, so he's a senator. They let his sister take his spot. She has no political experience whatsoever. They literally only gave her the job because she's related to Lindsey Graham, even though, as I said, she has no experience in this field whatsoever. And so, perfect example of nepotism. We have people that do not deserve the position, that have never held positions like that, being boosted just because they're related to somebody that has a position. We're seeing this with somebody's kids and being able to get opportunities and being put in positions they have no skill in, but it's okay because they're so-and-so's kid. So there's that aspect of it. To me, it really seems like a ploy to make sure that they can pass the seat to another Republican rather than leaving it up to an election. And as I was kind of saying earlier, at this point, he's been gone long enough that even if he's okay and he'll recover and his mental capacities intact or whatever, if you've been gone this long, they should take his position away anyways. It's like if somebody is sick and they're not able to come into work for like 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months, they're going to let you go. Unless you have like some sort of really nice business that you're working for, chances are you're going to lose that job. And I think this should apply to politicians as well, where if you are even in the moment unable to do that job, you shouldn't be allowed to have that job. And being in the hospital and unreachable and aren't able to participate in all the other things, to me, he should be fired or like let go or whatever they do with them. And put somebody in their place. Like they have, I think the liaison or whatever, like a backup politician to step in. Just like with the president, if the president was incapacitated, injured, or killed, the vice president steps in. If the vice president is also killed, then the secretary of state, I think, steps in and takes on that role. We should have something like that where people are in line to take the positions. So once they are once they need them, then they can step in, take that role, fill in, and if the other person comes back, then they can step away and the other person can take their role back. But I think it's extremely, extremely unfair and frankly questionable behavior to not be upfront with your voters, his voters. Like they're making decisions for us based on what they think we want and based on what their sponsors give them. But it's like this country, it's we the people. We are the ones that should be in charge. We should be the ones that vote people in, that choose when people leave. And we should be the ones that really direct the direction, direct this country's like where it's going. And they're taking that away from us. They're taking away our ability to autonomy, to participate in the government that should be cooperating with us. But instead, they've become our opponents and frankly our enemies. The very people that we've selected to run the country and to contribute to the running of this country are in many cases are taking advantage of the system. They're getting money through donors. They're getting free planes, free cars, free money, you name it. Like they're getting stuff. They're gifted stocks. There's all sorts of things that politicians are getting. Not to mention, we have a bunch of politicians that are being found to do things to other people that a certain leader has also done to people. And it's, I don't know. I think it's an embarrassment to this political system to have people running this country not even be there. It's like they don't even exist anymore. So yeah, this is definitely something that should trigger change because it's a very, I don't know what the word to use is, but impactful on the integrity of this country, the integrity of our voting process. It's already under attack, and this is just another facet showing how little, as you guys said, how little they care about us. They don't care about us. They just want our votes so we can put them in power. They just want our money. They just want our attention, but they don't care about much else. As long as they're making money, as long as they have connections and resources, they don't care if we have record homelessness. They don't care if our kids aren't educated. They don't care if people are struggling to eat and everything under the sun is unhealthy now because of pesticides or bacteria or fungus or all sorts of stuff. Again, they don't care. And so I think we should get to the point where we are able to be like, look, if he is not capable, he should be gone. Like, this shouldn't be your decision. This should be our decision. So yeah, I think it's egregious that we have people supposedly representing us hiding behind walls, pretending that people are okay when they're not.
Yeah, and I'm gonna raise you one said to where we, when you say we, I'm gonna say we was never included. Not everybody. We know the law for a fact. We know the redlining. We know the predatory lending. We know the just even when they did the mass public schooling, we wasn't included. And then when they included everybody, we had the white flight. The money was pulled out the schools. You had the historically black colleges and universities that was funded by the Morrill grants with a heavy Jewish influence. When those colleges and universities began to want to teach science and go past liberal arts, the money was taken away. We know that even at Florida A&M University, when it first was founded, that they had classes in teaching people how to be maids. They had classes in teaching people how to iron. The whole premise of the first HBCUs was to teach people of color that they were second-class citizens. We know this to be fact, right? So you come to where you come to 2026, you see what's happening. Mississippi is divided. If I'm not mistaken, what I read in Jackson, Mississippi, there's two separate court systems, two separate police departments. The lynchings is going up again. The police brutality is going up again. All types of protections for this stuff. And when I'm looking at the National Urban League Legislative Policy Conference. I don't know which year this was, but he spoke. And it says that McConnell has been called the most conservative leader of either party in the history of the Senate. He has also earned a reputation as a master tactician for permanently locking in critical tax relief for working families and small businesses and putting in place the most significant spending reduction legislation in a generation. I don't know how good that was, because when I look at the news and when I look at rankings all the time, Kentucky a lot of times is struggling. Shout out Kentucky. I've been through there twice. Still have yet to go to the Derby. Coming one day, get my hat and my suit, get right. But as far as state performance, Kentucky is up there with Florida in a lot of the low areas when it comes to public schooling and things of the like. So with him even being conservative, I can't really trust it, because at the end of the day, like you said, D, it is not for the people. It is not for the common man. And now there's two things you could flip it on both sides of the coin, to where there's one thing to be poor economically, socioeconomically, and maybe you could hit the lotto, maybe you could become an engineer, maybe you could become a heart surgeon, a politician, you might be able to create some generational wealth for your family. But the other side is to be of color. And at the end of the day, in many cases, you could be an engineer, you could be a circuit judge, but if you're of color, you still got that strike on you every time you go into office. So with that, watching what's going on, again, I haven't really seen anything that he's championed that has done justice for the masses of the civilians. And then also, we know what Deep mentioned at the end of at the beginning of the show, anybody that is really truly forward thinking about helping people, no matter their color, no matter their status, no matter what, is deemed as a threat, and they are taken out. And I will always go back to the Black Panthers, who did not break the law. Even I was confused for a while. So I realized, and I studied this and that, studied that. I read all of the books, not all of the books, but a lot of the books. When I realized not only did they not break the laws, the government illegally dismantled the group and did pattern themselves in their behavior. They started out giving out the welfare. They started out giving the housing. They started the career education. These people was doing this on their own for people of color, and they were all inclusive. Whoever was down with the program and tired of the BS, and they got ousted. John F. Kennedy got ousted. You name them. Abraham Lincoln, they had assassination attempt on his life, and he wrote in his writing that he thought that people of color was inferior, and in fact that they should remain chattel slaves. But he had to begin the war as a way to get that money pouring into the North, because the South was counting people as 3/5 and not paying all their taxes. So the Civil War was not about slavery. It was not about ending slavery. It was about money and representation, and that money coming up to the White House. So when we look at a lot of this stuff, it's all a hoax. It's smoke and mirrors. We still fall for it. And I would argue for those people, including himself, that's making all of these decisions. Go fight on the front lines in Iraq, in Iran. Come teach these kids. Go come in these hoods. A lot of these people, you'll never see them in the hood till it's time to get their vote. You know what I'm saying? Let alone that, to see you on these levels, and at the end of the day, you can't even talk no more. And that's a note to me to where, hey, when I get ineffective, take my butt home.
I'm over it at this point. I ain't trust. I never had a real position with politics, but I think it's impossible to be a politician by yourself. Like if you're somebody who I'm coming into this, I don't really care if your sister is married to such and such, and I don't care if they donated $5 million to this, and I see some stuff that needs to change here. So your charitable contributions aside, no, you're wasting our money. You're wasting your time here. Just no. I think it's impossible for one man or woman to just step in, replace an 80-plus-year-old guy or however old these people is, do the job that they promised they were going to do. You put your hand on that Bible, you swear under the oath that you're going to do right by the country, and you know you're doing right by yourself. I don't see nobody being able to do that. What can be done? I don't see nobody really. It's how can I say this? I hate saying that nothing can be done. Stuff can be done. It's just for everybody who's on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you are, and you express yourself like we do. Those are the people that can make stuff happen. But are we really ready to make the changes or the adjustments. Like you said up top, they only show up in the hood when it's time for them to, reap the benefits, but they're not really over there trying to connect with them or understand their struggles or their pains or nothing like that. They've already made their decisions. Everything that they're doing is based off of their own blueprint. So it really don't matter how much we express our frustrations with them if we don't find ways to make our words affect them. Like the actions behind the words have to hold them responsible. Kind of weird, and I know this is a little far left, but I'm used to people not giving a damn about black people going missing. But when it's a white person they go missing, you think that there would be all type of helicopters and the Avengers would come out and do everything in their power to find this person. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you know something ain't right with this. We supposed to just be all right with you just telling us, they're fine. It's cool. Just go back to work. What, like, all right, I'm gonna land the plane here with this question. Would it make a difference if y'all saw his face or not? Would it change anything? Would it change anything for the people to know if he was still present doing his job? Would it really do anything?
I think it would only help if he was in a reasonable state. Like if he was still had the capacity to do stuff. That being said, I still don't think he should hold the position because of his age. But if we had more transparency, if they gave us the chance to prove that he was alive or wasn't alive, I think that's where the problem lies. That's where the trust disappears, because I think it's less about the fact that it's him and he's in the hospital and whatever. It's more so what it signals about our government. Because if we have a government that's willing to obscure basically allow the disappearance of a major political figure without giving any information or investigating themselves or showing any proof of what's happening, that signals a problem within the government itself. It shows that they, one, are willing to obscure the truth from us to get what they want, which is very, very dangerous for a powerful group of people. And then it also signals that they don't even care about their own people. They're not talking about like, oh, this is how we're supporting him and his family. Like, even with his original illness, people thought it was really suspicious because his wife was overseas in a different country and she decided to finish what she was doing first before she went to see him. And people were like, that's weird. Like, if my spouse was in the hospital after being together for however many decades, and I heard that, like, my 80-year-old partner is in the hospital, or however old he is, you'd drop everything and leave. You'd be like, oh, I gotta go, guys. Like, my husband's in the hospital. And people would understand that. But the fact that she even took, like, a week or so to go visit him and be seen with him is pretty crazy too. So that's why a lot of people think this is fake, because there's a lot of competing information from people, politicians saying that they had 20-minute conversations with him and that he's doing well. And then you have his wife who didn't show up right away, which makes you think maybe he isn't alive. But then if he did die, maybe she would come out faster. So the whole situation around it is so weird and discombobulated, and it just does not make any sense. And to me, that is the most problematic part, because we very, very apparently have a government that is willing to hide anything and everything from us. They're willing to hide a list of known pedos. They're willing to hide the health of our president when he's showing signs of being very sick. They hide the death of senators. They hide all sorts of like financial stuff, dealings with companies. They're not trustworthy. And so I think, like, beside the fact that he's sick and he needs to be replaced and they're not doing it, I think that transparency issue is really the biggest issue. Because, again, they're representing us, so they should be releasing the information that is important to us, that is imperative for the functioning of our government, and honestly, just for the integrity of it. Like, if you're running a country, wouldn't you want your citizens to be up to date with what's happening? But apparently they don't care about that. So, yeah, I think that, again, I said this a little bit earlier, but this is a situation that needs to have some sort of reform as a result of what happened. Because it is not a good look to have your politicians disappear. You brush it off as if nothing's wrong, and then you continue to not put somebody in his place. And yeah, so I think that really indicates their loyalties, and the fact that they're willing to obscure truths, hide where people are or how they're doing, just so they can keep a seat, just so they can maintain a sliver of their power, which is hilarious because all over the country we're seeing a blue wave that's taking even the reddest districts. They had one in, I think it was Oklahoma or Texas, that since like 18 something, they've been heavy red, like 23 plus or something like that. And they swung to +7 Democrat. They literally flipped to blue because of this whole election. So we're starting to see a pushback against all this stuff that's happening. But again, there's so much that's happening that we really have to like hone in and figure out how to deal with all of these situations in a way that actually allows progress. So yeah, this is a alarming situation from a philosophical, political kind of platform. And again, how hard is it to release information? Like, come on. Like, you don't have to even do that much. Just show a freaking picture. Like, I don't understand how hard that is. Which lets me know that they are hiding this information. Like, there's no way that they're going to withhold this information for so long just because they want to value his privacy. Y'all don't care about privacy. We can see that already. So yeah, this is a very interesting situation, and I'm very eager to find out what happens. I would very much like to know what happened to him.
Hey. Trying to get them files released. I ain't even mad. Get it, girl. Yeah, you know what? I wish old age on everybody. Now that I know what I know, it'll be a blessing to make it. It'll be a blessing to make it too. If you don't have any issues, ideally, money matters, even though money don't buy happiness. You know, they say more money, more problems too. So, he could be having problems. That could be the reason why he's still trying to work. Why he has some things going on when he can't go home. At the end of the day, I'm with y'all to where when it's time to let it go, it's time to let it go. And I'm going to say it again. That's a note to self. When I get to where I can't function right, especially on the TV screen, in front of the camera, Time for me to relax. And hopefully I won't be mad. Even if I'm good at what I do, I could go sit down and hopefully I did right by my family so that they want to be around me and I won't be alone.
Respect. Well, look, Sid gonna close us out. Shout outs to everybody who tapped in. I'm curious to know how y'all feel about any of this. I made my point. I'm good on politics. It's exhausting to me, but I know a lot of y'all live for this stuff, like y'all breathe it. So I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna yield the mic, let her do her thing, and we're gonna close out.
Let me pull it up really quick. I was trying to decide between a couple poems. So, where did you go? This one. So this is called Salty Pickles. Sitting at the bottom of a jar are the discards, the stains, the remains. Chewed up desperate fingerprints paste hazy reminders on the walls that you exist to be casually deprived by glassmakers and their diamond hides. You peer helplessly through windows of lies, slamming in your senses with riled up fists, fed by the rage of pissed off chicks and men that see through the mist, past the wistful illusion of manumission, knowing the cruel, inescapable grift. Refusing to embrace perfunctory thaw, you bang on mandate soundproofing, wrapped flush around your emotional rind, determined to oppress you and your kind. They built opaque, unbreakable ceilings in an effort to take control of your feelings. The peace we pursue will always require conviction, steadfastness, and conscious alignment. For us to shatter our crystal confinement, escaping for freedom must become our most sacred assignment.
The flow insane, take my spot, soak the range, shoot my shot with perfect aim, 3rd degree, that perfect flame, ain't no sleep, that's the game, oh so southern, that's the slang, when they see me, that's the main, chasing checks and fly like planes, big old stick, I bought a cane,